For all that celebrations are magnificent, at the heart of the pageantry is a simple message: service.
When Camilla's daughter, Laura Lopes, made a seemingly casual remark at a glittering royal gala, no one could have predicted the storm it would spark. For Princess Charlotte, hearing it was like stepping into a spotlight she never asked for, a world where words carry weight, far beyond their intent. The comment struck at the heart of her poise and reputation, leaving Prince William visibly furious. But what could be so personal, so incendiary, that it ignited the protective fury of the heir to the throne? This is the story behind that explosive moment. A glittering royal evening shattered. The evening promised all the grandeur and elegance one might expect from a royal gathering at Windsor Castle. As the sun dipped behind the towers, the castle seemed to shimmer with anticipation, its centuries-old walls bathed in the soft golden glow of ornate chandeliers. Laughter echoed through the high ceilings, punctuated by the gentle clinking of champagne glasses and the subtle rustle of designer gowns brushing against polished floors. Guests arrived in a steady stream, figures from the worlds of art, culture, and society, each bringing with them a mixture of curiosity, admiration, and the quiet excitement that accompanies such illustrious occasions. Tailored suits, elegant dresses, sparkling jewelry, and carefully measured smiles painted a picture of refinement and sophistication, as everyone found their place in this meticulously choreographed celebration. At the heart of the evening's attention were, of course, Prince William and Princess Catherine, poised and gracious as always, alongside their children. But all eyes frequently drifted to Princess Charlotte. Even at such a tender age, Charlotte carried herself with a poise that seemed almost beyond her years. Her small frame moved with an unspoken elegance, her bright eyes observant and aware, yet soft with the innocence of youth. She was a beacon of composure amid the swirling currents of adult conversation and courtly rituals. Guests found themselves drawn to her presence, feeling an unexpected reassurance in her calm demeanor, a promise almost that the monarchy's future rested in capable, composed hands. Charlotte's natural charm was both comforting and inspiring, a rare blend of youthful energy and an innate sense of responsibility that seemed to captivate everyone who encountered her. Beneath the dazzling display of elegance and tradition, an invisible tension quietly gripped the evening. It was subtle, easily missed by late arrivals or those lost in their own polite exchanges, but unmistakable to anyone attuned to the nuances of royal gatherings. Conversations faltered mid-sentence, smiles felt slightly strained, and laughter seemed just a heartbeat too late. Every gesture, every polite nod, carried a whisper of unease. The grand hall, bathed in golden light and sparkling chandeliers, felt as fragile as crystal, beautiful yet dangerously delicate, as if even the smallest misstep or careless word could send the polished perfection of the night cascading into chaos. No one at the gathering could have foreseen how one seemingly innocent remark would tip the evening's delicate balance. What started as light conversation among well-meaning guests quickly sent unseen ripples through the grand halls, sparking tensions that reached far beyond the castle walls. Suddenly, the royal family found themselves navigating not only the relentless gaze of the public, but also the quiet, unsettling strains within their own private world. But could a single casual comment really expose hidden tensions within the carefully polished royal family? And what exactly was said that caused such a shocking reaction in the royal gathering? Now, let's delve into how Laura Lopes' words sparked a royal storm over Princess Charlotte. A casual remark that shook the palace. In the elegant swirl of conversation, gentle laughter, and polite applause, Camilla's daughter, Laura Lopes, moved through the room with an air of practiced ease. As an accomplished art curator and a familiar figure at royal gatherings, she carried herself with the confidence of someone completely at home among high-profile guests. Her smile was warm, her gestures effortless, and her charm seemed to draw people in naturally. To onlookers, she seemed to glide through the glittering crowd, exchanging pleasantries with an ease born of experience. Yet, in a fleeting, seemingly innocent moment, she uttered a remark that would ripple far beyond the glittering hall. "Charlotte is sweet, but she's so rehearsed, almost stage-managed," Laura said, her voice light, casual, as though sharing a private observation rather than a cutting critique. She smiled politely, unaware of how sharply her words would land. In another context, it might have been dismissed as idle chatter, a harmless opinion offered without malice, but within the gilded walls of the hall, under the watchful eyes of the royal family and their carefully curated guests, the comment struck like a sudden clap of thunder. Immediately, the air shifted. Conversations faltered mid-sentence. Champagne glasses paused mid-air as murmurs of surprise and subtle discomfort spread like wildfire. Eyes flickered nervously between Laura and Charlotte's parents, trying to gauge the intent, the weight, and the consequences of the remark. What had been an evening of celebration and admiration now carried an invisible tension, a quiet but unmistakable charge that seemed to hum in the very walls of the room. Prince William, standing a few feet away, froze in place, his jaw tightened, his gaze locked on Laura, sharp and unyielding. To hear his young daughter, innocent, bright and full of promise, dismissed as stage-managed was no ordinary slight. It was to him an affront not only to Charlotte's authenticity and natural charm, but to the careful nurturing and love that he and Catherine had poured into raising their children. The remark, though casual to those outside the family, cut deeply, piercing through layers of protective pride and parental devotion. For a brief moment, the polished mask of unity that the royal household so meticulously maintained faltered. The smiles, the handshakes, and the air of composure could not entirely hide the fault lines now revealed. Beneath the gleaming chandeliers and beneath the laughter that still echoed faintly around the room, a subtle fracture had appeared, one that spoke of clashing perceptions, protective instincts, and the fragile balance of life in the public eye. In the midst of elegance and tradition, a single, careless comment had unearthed a quiet storm, setting in motion tensions that would ripple long after the evening's celebrations ended. Laura's careless words revealed cracks beneath the monarchy's polished facade. Yet, could there be truth in her observation? And what makes Princess Charlotte's confidence and poise so extraordinary for her age? And how does she balance youthful energy with royal responsibility so effortlessly? Let's find out. The confidence and composure of Princess Charlotte. Charlotte has often been painted by those who know her best as a remarkable young girl, brimming with confidence, charm, and a sense of self that feels far beyond her years. Friends, family members, and close observers of the royal household frequently speak of her with admiration, noting that she carries herself with a poise and assurance that is unusual for someone so young. One source familiar with the inner workings of the palace describes Charlotte as a strong character, almost wise beyond her years, highlighting an air of quiet authority in her demeanor. It's not merely that she is confident, it's the way she inhabits her world, fully present and unself-conscious, as though she understands instinctively the expectations around her, but refuses to let them define her. Those who interact with Charlotte often notice that her ease and composure are completely genuine. There is no hint of pretense or effort in the way she moves, speaks, or engages with those around her. It's truly her personality. It's not forced, notes Amaya Arrieta, a designer renowned in children's fashion. She has observed Charlotte closely, remarking on the natural confidence that seems to radiate from her. According to Arrieta, Charlotte's comfort with herself and her surroundings is almost magnetic. She can meet the gaze of adults and peers alike with a sense of calm assurance, while also effortlessly displaying warmth and approachability. What sets Charlotte apart, according to those who know her, is the remarkable combination of youthful energy and a kind of early maturity. She understands, in ways that surprise many, that her position carries responsibilities. Yet, she does not appear burdened by them. Instead, she embraces them with a quiet determination, Whether attending public events, interacting with family, or stepping into new experiences, Charlotte seems to navigate each moment with a composure that feels instinctive, as if she innately knows what to do. Arietta adds, "The maturity that comes with that responsibility, she seems to nail it every time." It is not only the poise, but also the clarity of her self-awareness that leaves a lasting impression. Charlotte's confidence is paired with a natural warmth that endears her to others. She is talkative without being overwhelming, curious without being intrusive, and self-assured without appearing arrogant. These qualities combine to create a presence that is both captivating and reassuring. A young girl who is entirely herself, wholly comfortable in her own skin, and already displaying glimpses of a future shaped by intelligence, empathy, and strength. Those who witness her in action often leave with the sense that Charlotte is a child who, while still growing, possesses a rare and inspiring balance of courage, composure, and authenticity. Princess Charlotte's grace, confidence, and natural warmth suggest a future of extraordinary strength. But what happens when others question her? Was Laura Lopes's seemingly casual remark enough to provoke Prince William's fierce reaction? And was it justified? Let's delve into how Charlotte's father stepped in to protect and defend her. Adelaide Cottage in turmoil. That evening, as the golden light of Adelaide Cottage softened into twilight, Prince William found himself unable to shake the sting of Laura Lopes's careless comment. What might have seemed to some a fleeting remark or a casual observation had landed like a sharp blow to him. These were not idle words spoken in passing. They were cruel in their carelessness, biting in their implications. His daughter, Princess Charlotte, only 9 years old, had been casually dismissed as if she were nothing more than a polished performance, a rehearsed spectacle, rather than the bright, spirited child she truly was. William paced the room, each step echoing the whirlwind of frustration and disbelief swirling inside him. His jaw tightened, his brow furrowed, and his hands clenched as he replayed the scene in his mind. "She's 9 years old, Kate. 9!" he exclaimed, his voice taut with emotion. The words carried a raw, protective energy, fueled not merely by paternal instinct but also by his intimate awareness of the unrelenting pressures and intense scrutiny that come with life in the royal spotlight. Every remark, every observation had the potential to be dissected, magnified, and misconstrued, especially when aimed at his children. Catherine, ever the voice of reason and calm, watched her husband with gentle concern. She understood his anguish, yet she tried to temper it, offering quiet reassurance. "Will," she said softly, "perhaps it was thoughtless, not intentionally hurtful. She didn't mean it like that." But William's resolve was immovable. The words had struck deeper than mere insult. They had targeted the essence of Charlotte herself, challenging the authenticity and dignity that he and Catherine worked so tirelessly to nurture in their family. The following morning, William's concern transformed into decisive action. He sought out King Charles, determined to articulate the depth of his disquiet. "Unity means nothing if it comes at Charlotte's expense," he said firmly, each word imbued with the weight of conviction and the unwavering desire to protect his daughter from public and private harm alike. Charles, ever the measured and thoughtful mediator, listened carefully. He counseled patience and reminded William of the delicate balance required within family dynamics. Yet he understood that Charlotte's well-being was inseparable from the integrity of the monarchy in William's eyes. The prince's sense of justice, his devotion to his daughter, and his commitment to the public image of the royal household left him steadfast. This was not a matter to be brushed aside. To William, defending Charlotte's innocence, her honor, and her voice was a duty that demanded vigilance, resolve, and an unflinching stand, even against family. In that quiet, tension-filled exchange, the intersection of family loyalty, personal conviction, and royal responsibility became painfully clear. William's paternal fury was more than a reaction. It was a declaration. No one would diminish Charlotte, and her dignity would remain untouchable, regardless of where the fault lines ran. William's fury burned, refusing to let Charlotte's innocence be questioned. But behind the royal facade, how do William and Catherine protect their children's hearts while preparing them for a life under constant scrutiny? How do they balance royal duty with nurturing emotional resilience? Let's uncover their carefully guarded approach. Inside the royal nursery, Prince William and Princess Catherine, the Prince and Princess of Wales, have made it abundantly clear that when it comes to raising their children, Princes George, Charlotte, and Louis, their top priority is their emotional well-being. They are not only modern royals, but also hands-on parents who deeply value mental health as a core part of family life. Over the years, both William and Catherine have used their platform to speak passionately about the importance of mental health and emotional balance, not just for adults, but especially for children. As active patrons of several mental health charities, their commitment goes far beyond public appearances. It's a philosophy they bring home and practice with their children every single day. Instead of keeping their children confined in a bubble of royal formality, William and Catherine have worked hard to foster an open and supportive household. They believe that emotional intelligence is just as important as academic achievement or royal protocol. From the very beginning, they've taken deliberate steps to make sure their children feel safe, heard, and loved, not just respected because of their royal status. This means taking time to listen to their kids, asking them how they feel, and making sure that no emotion is brushed aside as trivial or embarrassing. Both William and Catherine were shaped by their own childhood experiences. William grew up in the public eye, enduring personal tragedies and intense media scrutiny. He knows what it's like to carry the heavy burden of royal responsibility from a young age.
Having been lucky enough to meet some of our country's amazing charities and organizations.
Catherine, although not born into royalty, grew up in a warm and close-knit family, and she has brought that same sense of grounding and compassion into the royal household. Together, they are working to create a more balanced, emotionally healthy environment for their children, an environment that wasn't always available in previous generations of the royal family. One of their core parenting beliefs is that children should never feel like they must bottle up their emotions. Whether it's joy, sadness, frustration, or fear, George, Charlotte, and Louis are being raised to recognize, understand, and express their feelings without shame. If one of them has had a tough day, it's not swept under the rug. Instead, William and Catherine make it a point to talk about it, offering comfort and guidance to help their child process what they're going through. This kind of open communication isn't just about emotional support, it's about teaching essential life skills like empathy, resilience, and self-awareness. Their parenting style aligns closely with today's most respected child development practices, which emphasize the importance of nurturing a child's emotional and psychological growth just as much as their physical and intellectual milestones. Research shows that children raised in emotionally supportive environments tend to grow into adults who are more confident, socially aware, and capable of handling life's challenges. William and Catherine's approach reflects this understanding completely. William and Catherine have made it clear that love, attention, and emotional guidance outweigh any royal expectation. But when their parenting principles are tested, how far will they go to protect their children? Let's explore the astonishing details. A frosty encounter. Weeks had passed since the incident at Windsor, yet the echoes of Laura Lopes's remark continued to reverberate quietly through the corridors of the royal household. When the family reconvened for a highly anticipated charity gala at Clarence House, the evening promised sparkle, sophistication, and the sort of grandeur that had long defined the British monarchy. Golden chandeliers bathed the hall in a warm glow, laughter and polite conversation filled the air, and the glint of fine jewelry caught the eye at every turn. Guests from the worlds of art, culture, and high society arrived dressed to impress, mingling with elegant ease as cameras and courtiers alike recorded each moment. But beneath the glittering surface, an undercurrent of tension simmered. subtle, almost imperceptible, yet undeniably present. The moment Prince William and Princess Catherine made their entrance, the atmosphere shifted. It was not a dramatic interruption, no raised voices or overt gestures, but those attuned to royal dynamics noticed immediately. Conversation slowed, eyes darted in quiet observation, and a hushed anticipation settled over the gathering. The subtle change in the air carried a weight that no speech or performance could mask. This was not a night for light-hearted pleasantries alone. Then came the inevitable encounter. Across the polished marble floor, William's path crossed with Laura Lopes. What might have been a simple, cordial exchange between distant relatives instead crackled with unsaid words and restrained tension. Laura, maintaining her usual poised composure, leaned slightly to a companion and murmured, with a faint, dismissive smile, that some people needed to keep perspective. In another context, the remark might have been brushed off as inconsequential, even playful, but here, in this charged environment, it landed like a spark near dry kindling. William's response was immediate, precise, and icy. A clipped remark, measured yet unmistakably sharp, punctuated the air, and then he turned away, his gaze cool and unyielding. The brief interaction conveyed more than words could express. The conflict was unresolved, the wounds still raw, and his memory of the previous offense remained unforgotten. Courtiers and guests alike exchanged subtle, uneasy glances, recognizing that a quiet drama had just played out before their eyes. Camilla, ever vigilant of her daughter's place in the public eye, intervened swiftly, placing a guiding hand on Laura and steering her toward another part of the room.
He went through different phases as a child by loving this or that.
But the ripple of tension could not be fully contained. What had been intended as a night of charity and celebration became, in the minds of those present, a stark, living reminder. The monarchy's most delicate divisions were not always hidden behind palace walls. They could surface in an instant, whispered across a room, leaving a subtle but indelible mark on the public stage. But could one casual remark spark a battle between parental devotion and duty to the crown? And can King Charles preserve the fragile balance between family loyalty and public expectation? Now let's delve into William and Camilla's silent battle over Charlotte's honor. A clash of loyalties. News of Prince William's visible fury did not remain confined to the walls of Adelaide Cottage for long. It traveled swiftly through the channels of palace whispers, reaching Queen Camilla, who had always been fiercely protective of her daughter, Laura Lopes. To Camilla, the remark had seemed casual, almost playful, a light-hearted comment, not an attack meant to wound. In her eyes, William's intense reaction appeared exaggerated, even unfair. She could not understand why a single comment, spoken in passing and intended without malice, had triggered such a storm of anger. In her private reflections, she accused William of overreacting, of dragging Laura into a world of scrutiny and expectation she had never sought or desired, a world far removed from her own carefully cultivated career and personal life. Yet William's perspective could not have been more diametrically opposed. In his eyes, the words had pierced to the very heart of Charlotte's dignity. The idea that his daughter could be dismissed as rehearsed or stage-managed felt not only unjust but deeply personal, striking at the authenticity, innocence, and respectability he and Catherine worked tirelessly to nurture in their family.
The Earthshot Prize, the biggest, global environment prize in history.
Beyond Charlotte herself, William saw the remark as a challenge to the integrity of the monarchy, its public image, its credibility, and the perception of the family's ability to uphold its values in the eyes of the world. The clash was no longer about a casual observation. It had become a matter of principle, a silent but potent battle between parental instincts, loyalty, and the complex intertwining of personal and public duty. Caught between these two powerful opposing forces, King Charles found himself navigating an increasingly treacherous path. As he attempted to mediate, every carefully chosen word seemed to illuminate the gap between the parties, rather than bridge it. Each intervention risked escalating tensions, forcing him into the unenviable role of peacemaker in a household where emotions ran high and where pride, principle, and protective instincts collided with unrelenting force. Charles recognized the delicate balance required in such moments: the unity of the family, the image of the monarchy, and the personal well-being of both Laura and Charlotte all hung in the balance. Behind closed doors, the household became a quiet battlefield. Camilla stood resolute in defense of her daughter, unwilling to see Laura's words framed as malicious. William, equally steadfast, refused to allow Charlotte's innocence or reputation to be questioned or diminished, and Charles, the ever-patient mediator, felt the weight of every decision, every compromise, and every word, knowing that in a family as scrutinized as theirs, even the smallest fissure could threaten the delicate veneer of royal cohesion. In that tense standoff, the invisible lines between family loyalty, parental duty, and public expectation were drawn sharply. What began as a casual comment had transformed into a silent struggle of wills, revealing just how fragile, complex, and emotionally charged the world behind palace walls could be. Loyalties collided, protective instincts flared, and King Charles found himself trapped in a delicate royal standoff.
Which surrounds us and which reminds us of the vital parliamentary traditions.
But behind the glittering facade, what hidden vulnerabilities threaten the monarchy? Now let's unravel how one seemingly casual remark ignited tensions that shook royal harmony to its core: the royal rift. In the days that followed Laura Lopes' remark, life at the palace took on a careful, almost theatrical rhythm. Behind the glittering facades of grandeur, the royal household moved like a well-rehearsed ensemble, each gesture and arrangement deliberately calculated to avoid tension erupting in public. Seating plans were subtly shifted at banquets, ensuring that Charlotte and Laura would not sit near one another. Public engagements were meticulously choreographed, schedules quietly adjusted, and opportunities for unintended confrontations minimized. To the outside world, the royal family continued to present the polished image of composure and unity that tradition demanded. Cameras saw only elegance, poise, and the reassuring continuity of monarchy. Behind the palace's glittering facade, a far more tense and fragile reality quietly simmered. Prince William's resolve to protect Princess Charlotte's innocence and dignity was absolute. Laura's careless remark had struck a nerve, and he could not simply let it slide, nor allow it to diminish the authenticity, charm, or carefully nurtured reputation of his young daughter. Each replayed comment only intensified his determination. For William, defending Charlotte was far more than a father's instinct. It was a matter of principle, a conscious stand to safeguard the integrity of a remarkable young girl whose poise, confidence, and natural grace had already earned admiration well beyond the palace walls. Equally steadfast, Queen Camilla remained fiercely protective of her own daughter, viewing Laura's comment as a harmless observation, a social slip rather than an affront. To her, William's reaction had escalated the situation unnecessarily, dragging her child into a sphere of scrutiny she had never sought. The tension between them was quiet but undeniable, a clash of parental instincts and loyalties that left Charles navigating an increasingly delicate middle ground. As the family's mediator, he balanced on a tightrope, attempting to soothe both sides without allowing the invisible fault lines to widen further. Amid the quiet turbulence behind palace walls, young Princess Charlotte remained blissfully untouched by the storm surrounding her. Her laughter echoed through the gardens, bright and carefree, while her curiosity guided her from room to room, exploring with innocent wonder. Every step, every gesture radiated natural confidence, a charming mix of poise and playfulness that captivated those around her. Completely unaware of the tensions her presence had stirred, she reveled in the simple joys of childhood, chasing butterflies, peering through windows, or pausing to marvel at small wonders. Moving through her world with a grace that was entirely her own. A single careless remark, uttered in the midst of polite conversation in a room full of glittering guests, had grown into something far larger than anyone anticipated. It created a subtle, yet unmistakable chasm of mistrust within the royal household, a quiet reminder that the monarchy's greatest vulnerability lies not in headlines or public opinion, but in the fragile, delicate bonds that hold the family together. Even within walls built on centuries of tradition, ceremony, and outward appearances, the fiercest challenges often come from within, testing loyalty, patience, and the enduring resilience of those bound by blood and duty. What do you think about William's furious reaction to Princess Charlotte's public insult? We would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe.